Okay. All right, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to have our guest here today. I have Lupe Soto. Is it Soto? Is that the yeah pronunciation? She is a big heavyweight industry professional here. She's like one of the biggest players in one of the biggest players in the industry, especially for when it comes to women. She is the founder of the Ladies International Poker Series, also known as LIPS. She's the founder of the Senior Poker Tour, the Women in Poker Hall of Fame. Her charities are Vegas Connected and Poker Gives, and she's also one of the founders of the WPA, which is the Women's Poker Association, which has how many members to date now? Maybe
a lot.
Like, a lot.
I don't know, 6,000, something like that.
She's
everyone is in the know as a member, right?
Yeah.
Right. If you're a woman poker player, you need to be a member.
That's right. She's well known in the industry as an advocate for women in poker. She has a background as a professional therapist. In 2002, she opened Poker Chicks, and that led to LIPS, which is the tour that runs everywhere now. In 2008, she founded the Women in Poker Hall of Fame, and she was also inducted into the Women in Poker Hall of Fame in 2018. Poker Gives was one of her big charities that was originally founded by Mike Sexton, Linda Johnson, Jan Fisher, and Lisa Tenner. And I think you took over in 2015 or something like that.
Well, I originally helped them in their, kind of like the building of the foundation and stuff. And then I took up that when they wanted to retire and stop working so much, then they said, would you just like take it over? So, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's start, Lupe, by you giving us a little background. How did poker come into your life?
Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you. I was one of those girlfriends who sat behind the boyfriend when we went on date night. And we lived about a little over a mile away from a local casino in San Diego. And on date night, we would each take $100 on Friday nights, and we would go down to the casino, and I would blow my $100 in about 2 seconds on a blackjack table. And then I would spend the rest of the evening watching my boyfriend play. I think it was 3-6 stud, in the poker room. And at that time, that's what was played, was stud high low. And then near the second or third year, they started introducing Texas Hold'em. It was around, but it wasn't being played so much in the card rooms in California at that time. So I think it really was the day that I kicked him under the table pretty hard because I was upset that he was in the hand all the way to the end. And I said, what are you doing? Why were you in that hand? And he goes, you know what? You see that girl over there? You go get your own table and you go play. And here it is, fast forward, over 20 years later, and he's not even in poker anymore. We're not together anymore. And I still love the game.
That's amazing. I did forget to say that you're also a big poker player. Like you've got quite a few cashes, and
I am not a poker player at tournaments. No. So my hand in mob has like $200. Okay. I'm not it's really kind of ironic that I spent my entire career in the poker industry pretty much promoting tournaments, but I'm not a tournament player. I'm a mixed game cash game player. That's my passion.
And are you still playing? Do you still play?
All the time.
Where do you like to play?
I got called today and they said, hey, we got a mixed game going at such and such time. And I was like, well, I got something already I got to do. But yeah, I try to play at least, 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, that's amazing. Are those private games, or is that
one is a private game? During COVID was kind of like shut all the poker rooms were shut down, everything. And then when they started to open back up, there were still a few of us that used to play a home game together, and we made like a contract and said, okay, you want to play in the game? You cannot do A, B, and C. You can't go anywhere. You can't visit anybody. You can't do anything. And those for about the first 9 months, I didn't even play it. And then after I got my vaccine, I started playing that until the poker rooms opened up. I got my vaccine pretty early though, because of our charity, and we serve the homeless. And so they considered us critical workers or whatever.
Mhm.
So they allowed us to get our vaccine early. So I was able to sneak in poker earlier than some others.
Well, that's great. I can't wait to be able to play again. I can't
Ugh.
wait.
Yeah, and it's crazy because in some parts of the country in the United States, it's booming, and in other parts, it's dead. I mean, they won't even open up a poker room at all. So,
Right.
It's hit and miss.
Right. And I did see pictures from the April series that was run at South Point and the June series that was run, and it's only 2 months apart, but they look totally different. One has everybody masked and there's partitions up, and the other one, nobody has a mask and everybody's playing together. Do you think that it's really under control?
No. I believe that I preferred the April event. It was kind of crazy because everybody and their mothers who were cooped up for all that time said, I'm going. We had numbers like we hadn't seen in years. I mean, even pre-COVID, we didn't see those kind of numbers. And then all of a sudden,
there was partition,
and people would run up to me and they were wearing masks and glasses and hats, and I was like, and they're like, Lupe, it's so great to see you. And I was like, I don't know who you are. Because I couldn't recognize anybody.
Right.
Everybody was all masked up and everything. It was crazy. So it was so much fun. I also preferred it because I think people were still very careful. So there was a lot of hand sanitizing going on and a lot of, conscious hugging, asking if somebody's been vaccinated before they did it and all that stuff. And then fast forward 2 months to June, it was like we didn't have nothing going on. And I was shocked. I felt a little more secure during April than I did in June, but I'm vaccinated, and I would tell everybody, that I was vaccinated. Right. But man, it's just poker's like a very touchy-feely game.
Yeah. It just looked like such a big turnaround in such a short time, and I thought, I'm assuming some people still wear masks and.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Las Vegas, because I live in Las Vegas, and so I see what's happening here. Right. And we are a petri dish here. Everybody and their mothers decide to come to Vegas to play, and they, there's super crowds here. We had 4th of July weekend. We've also got a significant uptick in all of our Delta stuff with the coronavirus, and our hospitals are full and all that stuff. And so I found that right after the 4th of July, and mind you, I'm talking about 1 week later, in the poker rooms now, I would say over 50% of the people are wearing masks again. Because here in Las Vegas, it's still very prevalent.
Right. So we'll see what happens by WSOP time. It's like,
I don't know. Well, I'm hoping that, the international market will be open for those people to come. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going to happen in Las Vegas. Because of our significant increase over the 4th of July. I don't know I doubt if they'll ever shut us down again. I doubt if they will dial back the precautions all the way to social distancing and all that. But I think that they might even put those masks back in place as a mandate when you're in the casinos, which I think is a good idea. I mean, there was a lot of people who got sick over this last, series and stuff. So.
Right. Wow.
We forget we still have a coronavirus pandemic going on.
I know. It just looked like it was suddenly over. And I said, how can that be? But it's not.
And it's so not. Yeah.
It's just everybody's just so wishing that they could get back to normal.
Oh, in a perfect world, everybody will have a booster by October. All the borders will be open, and all those people will have been able to get at least the first set of vaccines, and we can, relax a little more. and that, and have a great event.
Right.
That's my goal anyway. I hope so.
Right. Well, okay, so let me ask you a couple of things. How about you tell me about your charities and how there's
Okay,
two,
well,
like at least two you're involved with, right? In a big way.
well, I think really they're one and the same. Vegas Connected is the umbrella company. It's
Mhm.
it's the charity called Vegas Connected. Poker Gives is the fundraising arm in the poker world for that funds all the work that we do in Vegas Connected. And in Vegas Connected, we have three main divisions. The first one is the homeless, and we feed the homeless every week. It's a big undertaking. That is not something that we did before. We did it we used to do hard goods like just clothing and towels and toiletries, which we used to collect during our events and stuff. And people would bring us when they were staying in their hotels, their baggies and all the toiletries. And then COVID hit, and we went to go set up when COVID hit, and all these people hadn't eaten. They can't panhandle anymore. Nothing was open. So there weren't people moving around so that they could, they would panhandle a lot to be able to get their meals for cash, or there weren't people out there actually serving them. So it changed our entire focus. And all of a sudden we were feeding people. That night that we discovered everybody's pulling out of their pockets whatever we had in money, and we went and bought a bunch of pizzas and started, distributing them to everybody who was there. And then we realized, wow, this is crazy. What are these people going to do during COVID? So that changed our focus, and we literally we now have a full operation of volunteers who every Monday we cook and we serve in two locations, and they're both literally dirt lots where a huge tent city has cropped up. And we serve about 150 in one location and about 125 to 150 in another location, all in the same night. And so that's what we do with our homeless program. And also, and it kind of overlaps into our other program. It's called For the Boots. And that's our military services program. We have a relationship with the Air Force Base here in Las Vegas and up in Reno. And if they have a family that they cannot serve for whatever reason, they can't help them, then they give them by referral to us, and we set out to help them in whatever it is that they need. And also in the homeless population, we look for homeless veterans so that we can reintroduce them into the system so they can start receiving the services that they deserve. So it's kind of a twofold in that program. And our third program is called the Vegas Youth Network, and we supply Title I schools here with backpacks and school supplies and uniforms and all kinds of things to prepare kids for a successful year. We have a lot of very under poverty line families in these Title I schools that they won't send their kids to school because the kids don't have shoes, or they don't have the proper uniform, or they outgrew their clothes from the summer. So they need those kinds of things. And then the last thing that we do is there's a population of homeless high school students, and we help them throughout the year with clothing and backpacks and textbooks and food or whatever it is that they need during and those high school students, it's really unfortunate because they're not adult enough to get services as adults, and they're too young, or they're older than the cutoff, which is 13. So if you're homeless and you're between 13 and 18, there's nothing for you. Yeah. So that's what we target is that group through the school systems. They refer to us, and we just set out to do what we got to do. So that's pretty much what we do. It's a lot.
That's amazing. That's a lot of work. That's amazing work.
It is. And our entire organization is 100% volunteer. Nobody gets paid a dime.
Do you do a lot of fundraising within the poker community then?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whenever we have an event, we set up, we have a big merchandise area, and we are always telling you, go buy something. We have things that are like impulse buys, $10, $20, and we refund whatever we paid for the stuff, but then the funds that are profit go back into the services
Right.
that we provide. And also we have charity poker tournaments. We have the tag team switch. I don't know if you've ever played it before.
I
It's
have.
a tag team where two people
Elizabeth
get to
and I
play.
came second one year.
Yeah,
There you go.
runner
Well,
up. We're here.
That's fantastic. So tag team switch literally has been trademarked for the use for charity only. So if anybody wants to play that game, they have to either pay a license fee to the charity for them to be able to play the game, or we host the tournament ourselves and then the proceeds come to the charity.
Oh, wow.
That's
I did not know
amazing.
that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. All right, well, let's get on to some poker and empowering players, specifically women. Like, we're trying to get more women into the game, and you know, we don't have a big enough percentage representation in this game today, and I just wonder why you think more women don't play the game, and what we can do as individuals or groups like RecPoker to bring more women into the game, or specifically.
Just love
hit
that
the
you guys are
live
called RecPoker. I don't know how you got your name, but RecPoker is like bing. It's for all of us oldies who, back in the mid 90s when the internet was just starting, the way that we communicated was on boards. I don't know if you guys were familiar with that, but it was like
message boards kind of thing.
Yeah, it was there was a section. It was under rec meant recreation, you know, so there was like baseball, football, blah, and then they had poker or gambling or casino or, you know, different ways to communicate. And literally there are huge people who've been around the block for a while now, that of numbers of people that have gotten together, and every year they meet in Atlantic City and they meet in Las Vegas, and it's now called Barge and At Large. And those are the two big events that happen. And people have been around since RecPoker back in the day. So anyway, sorry, Deb. And your question was?
My question was, like, why do you think more women don't play live poker?
Oh, okay.
And how to get more women into it, including us as a group.
Those are great questions. And we have 3 different things that we know. We just conducted a huge survey. And because we knew as an industry, we came together. There was a summit that was held by the World Poker Tour, I want to say 3 years ago. And at that summit, we broke out into sessions, and we had players, we had industry people, we had operators, and tournament directors. And we all like just tried to peel back the layers to figure out exactly what it was, the barriers. And we came up with about 8 or so things, and then, you know, prioritized them as to where we thought it was. And the very, very, very top number 1 answer was that it is an intimidating environment, and it's not a friendly place for a lot of people who are new to enter, especially women. And so that being the case, we had to then strategize from that point. What are those things that are literally the barriers from allowing people to enter? Well, we have partnered with an organization called Poker Power, and it's POWHER, Poker Power.
We actually had Xuan Liu as our guest last month. So
fantastic.
We were talking about it.
They're dedicated to teaching 1 million women how to play poker. And their target is very young women, high school, college, also groups of women. And when I say groups, I'm talking about, you know, the red hat ladies, the bingo women, the slot players, you know, anybody who's not literally a poker player. And we're also partnering with them for 2 things. One is the education arm that they provide, the curriculum that they have and everything that's free, you know, for people who have an interest. And the second thing is for us to connect the dots. The Women's Poker Association is prepared to put advocates into card rooms everywhere. And those advocates work with poker rooms to help them develop a women's program where we can teach people who don't play currently how to come in and, you know, learn about a poker room and learn not about, and I mean, literally, this is an ace, this is a king, those kinds of things. And then just basic mechanics of what happens. And, if you are, and even me, who I'm a completely seasoned person, and I very rarely find myself intimidated in any kind of a setting. Every once in a while, I'll walk into a brand new location and I'm not there in a professional sense. I'm there as a player, and it's a little confusing. It's like, where do you go to sign up, and where's the tournament cage, and all those kinds of things. So we want to be a catalyst for information for when a player who's new walks into a room, she immediately can pop it up and say, oh, if I go into this room at XYZ location, this is where the cage is, this is who I asked for, this is where the board is, this is what it means to sign up, and all that kind of stuff. So we want to eliminate just the fundamentals of walking into a room for the first time. And secondly, we want to challenge every poker player who's out there to check themselves and their behavior while they're at the game. When they're playing, it's very, very frustrating, and it can make a lot of people, it can bring out the ugly in us, basically, when we have bad beats, or oh my gosh, one outer, he hits it, that kind of thing. It's an emotional reaction, and some people aren't very good about reining in their emotions. So our goal is to challenge all poker players and operators to raise up the fun and raise up the respect of our fellow poker players. Because if we do those two things, if it's a fun place to go, and if we're respectful while we're there, who's not going to want to come and join us? So that's a key factor in growing our game overall. So that's a huge mission. It's a global mission. It's a movement that we're trying to implement and to have people accept and commit to.
Right.
And there's one more thing I wanted to mention about that, Knock. It just left. Oh, don't get old.
It'll come back. Don't worry, I'm already there. I'm already there. Yeah. Now what I was going to ask you next is left as well. But I did have a question.
There you go.
I have a couple of questions that some members that couldn't be here tonight had for you. So this one comes from one of our founders, I think, Chris Jones. And he's wants to hear your thoughts on the latest WPT final table, where half of the 6 final tablists were women. And not only is that final table more representative, but he's also heard that this event attracted more women runners than usual big tourneys in Vegas. And first, he wants to know if that's true. And secondly, is it just luck, or is there something WP is doing differently that you know of?
Well, the good news is that World Poker Tour is very female friendly. I mean, all the way to the top. They have women in very key positions in their company. They are mindful of inclusivity of all players. And those are really, really important things for operators to have. Secondly, the Venetian is also very supportive. I've been working with the Venetian to run the Lips Ladies event in every series every summer for years and years. And when people when people made choices about coming to Vegas this last time, it was a very short window from the ladies event series and then other main event series. So they were here for about 2 weeks, which it was not an astronomical amount to buy in either. I think it was 1,500 or something like that, maybe 16. But and there was a lot of opportunities for them to satellite in and that kind of thing. There was an uptick in women participation for that particular event than in the past. It wasn't astronomical though, but these players that they had there were very skilled. And these gals, I mean, everybody has a good run, right? It was just so fantastic to see a final table where it was 50-50. Now, granted, they weren't in the top chip lead. Well, one gal was. She was really doing well. But it was phenomenal. It was on, I believe, the first time that we've been able to say it's not a fluke, because when, somebody makes the final table, like Maria Homemade WPT final table, I think it was the year before COVID. And that was a big deal. And we really went in to go support her, but it was a fluke. Everybody kept saying, oh, it's just Maria. Maria's really good. Yeah. Well, I think that we have a lot of really good players. We have women who now have been playing this game for 10, 15, 20 years. And they've upticked themselves, all the way up into the main games, and are finding more and more successes. And this was like the culmination of all of this effort. Ta-da! It finally showed up. And it was so exciting just to see that. And these girls are young and they're smart and they're good players. And it was just a different vibe. If you've ever seen a WPT final table, it's usually very serious and everybody's very, they want to attack their partners and, or their players and get out. There was a lot of smiling going on. There was conversation happening. It was a different dynamic that you don't see at a WPT final table. So it was very refreshing.
Yeah, that was great.
We felt, to see that. So the strong answer to that is we are actually actively, there's several organizations that are actively working on getting women into the game of poker. It's LIPS, it's WPA, there's Globetrotting Women, there's Flip, there's all kinds of women's organizations that have that focus. And I think that it's sheer volume. If it's always in your face, people are talking about it. I remember what I wanted to share with you. We also have a program. I know, ta-da, the sun shines. Anyway, for years and years and years, men have come to me and they say, you have all this stuff here at your table and it's all for the girls and stuff. We're men and we can't buy all this stuff, but we want to support you anyway. How can we support you? That has troubled me for years because I could never figure out a way that it was a symbol that men had that they could produce or wear or whatever, and be an instant recognition that man supports women in poker. So very recently, and the Women's Poker Association's color is purple, right? And so you see purple this, and we have purple parties and purple advocate jackets and all this stuff. So a symbol of a man that's clearly male is a tie. So we have developed a program called the Purple Tie Guy. And the Purple Tie Guy is just a little patch and it just says, I'm a purple tie guy. He can wear it on his poker jacket, on his hat, wherever he wants to wear it. And instantly it's a recognized thing when a woman sits down at the table that she knows that guy right there supports you being there. So I believe that campaign is going to change. We're going to flood the WSOP with purple tie guy patches. Let me just tell you. So awesome. There will be a conversation about this. And I think it's going to, there's no guy who's going to say, I don't support women. They want women there, So I'm hoping that this campaign will bring voices back to the men who also support what we're trying to do.
Right. That's great. That's amazing. That sounds, I'm going to be looking for those purple ties.
Purple tie patches. They're not purple ties. They're little patches.
Little patches.
It's like, a tuxedo shirt.
Yeah.
That goes like this. Okay. And then there's a tie, but
there's a little purple tie on it.
Shirt and then it's hashtag purple tie guy. It's very simple. Perfect. And the tie has a spade on it. So it's poker, but it's just a little iconic thing. If I walked in and I was wearing my Padres shirt, you would know I'm a sports fan, right? Well, this little icon will show the poker players that they support women in poker.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. What do you think, Jim? Will you wear one?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in.
Bring it on. Are you kidding? I just shared a picture of me wearing a purple tie for the Reckies last September. I love that idea. I'm already a purple tie guy. Are you kidding?
That's
sign me up.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And then, in our future and stuff, we're going to host Purple Tie Guy tournaments, and thank them for supporting us for what our efforts are. And it's all good stuff.
Lupe, where can I buy a patch or a pin or something to help?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're
I'm a
launching.
purple tie guy.
We are launching. What's today? Let me get my little handy dandy calendar. Sorry. It's not this Monday, but the following Monday we launch. And then you just go to the website, you order, just, you don't have to pay for anything, but just, register to be a purple tie guy and we send you a patch. And we will have at any of the major series, we'll have advocates who have the patches and we'll just hand them out.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
maybe Kim can put something in our forums linking to that or something, and we can all get some guys to sign up. That sounds awesome.
I could definitely.
So
Fantastic.
perfect.
I could definitely do that. Definitely.
Love
I saw that a recent post that there's going to be a series coinciding with the WSOP this fall.
Yes, that's the brand new International Women's Poker Championship, International Women's Poker Championship. There was a lot of discussion with a lot of the groups that women have, like, the European women have groups of women, the Canadian women have groups of women, Mexican women that play together. We just wanted to have something that was super international, but it was a festival, not just the one WSOP, which is a World Series event. But so we started calling around saying, hey, how do you want to participate? Well, the Women's Poker Association is definitely going to do an annual conference. They're going to have keynote speakers and, some breakout sessions. And well, I don't know exactly what's all going to happen, but that'll be there. The Women in Poker Hall of Fame has been on hiatus because of the COVID year was last year. It was supposed to be last year. So it'll be this year. So that's going to get incorporated in there. And it'll also be on the international platform. And the Mike Sexton Poker Throwdown. The Poker Throwdown is something that we did for Jennifer Harmon for years for the Nevada SPCA and for the National Kidney Foundation. And then it just went on hiatus as well. Well, we're bringing it back. And the Mike Sexton family has gifted us with being able to use his name in all of our charity work because Mike is one of our original founders. So we are going to bring back the Mike Sexton Charity Poker Throwdown, which is a team competition within a regular tournament, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow,
So,
that sounds great. That sounds awesome.
There'll be that, and then of course the championship, the International Ladies Championship, which will be a 2-day, day 1A, day 1B, and then the day 2.
And the dates are, do you know the dates off the top of your head?
The 6th. It's the 6th through the 10th. And then the 11th is the ladies WSOP. And we were so fortunate this year because this plan has been in action for a long time. And then the WSOP moved to October. I picked up the phone and said, all right, you guys, we've been working really hard. Don't you squash us. This effort is too big. They were super cool. They said, what dates do you want? So we plugged it in, right? So it would be, all packed into that week. And they were phenomenal. So we're going to do the warm-up event with them on that night of Sunday night before the 10th in the evening. We'll be doing a 150 warm-up event at the Rio. And then on Monday is the ladies WSOP. So we've incorporated it into the festival.
And are those meetings that you said, are they open to the general public or are they only open to members?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, let's put it this way. The Women's Poker Association is free to join. Okay. You do have to join because if you join, then you get discounts. It's gonna not do that, right? It's like, okay, well, you can pay the full price, but if you're a member, you get that price. And it'll be a breakfast and all that kind of thing for the conference. And then the Women in Poker Hall of Fame is a luncheon. And literally we pay like, I think it's a $50 ticket or something like that. It just covers the lunch, for the ceremony and the room and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise we get sponsored just to, pay for trophies and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. So I know I see my friend Stuart's here. He's came late, but I think he had been wondering about the senior poker tour. When is that still going? And
okay, senior poker tour. Let me just tell you, oh my gosh, I hate COVID. But before COVID hit, and I'll give you we started the senior poker tour in 2013. It was
In Tunica.
trying to remember where our first event was. It might be, but in Tunica was always very supportive. We've always had good support in certain areas. And then it was like trying to blow up the door to be able to get somebody to open it so we can have a conversation. The seniors events in any festival are always popular. So it was like very frustrating to say, why won't you support this series? Just have a whole series for the senior poker tour. So we had to go back and revamp the program in order to give them something that was special. They felt like they had seniors in their room every day. You know, it was not a big deal. So we revamped it to the senior poker tour hosting a senior state championship. So that's how we started to grow. COVID the year of 2020 had 7 locations that were brand new. So we were going to have already 10. So there was almost one every month in a different location, a different state that has legalized poker. And then COVID hit and half of those rooms aren't opening again. It's like, dang. So we're back to square one on that. We do have, of course, Tunica. And again, you know, there's a problem with the volume of staff in a lot of these poker rooms. They might have the capacity, but they don't have enough staff that has returned to be able to, you know, just to be able to do the functionality of the entire series.
right.
So it's been a real hard conversation for the senior poker tour. I'm just very fortunate that the relationships that I have all around the country are not the same. The people have changed in many card rooms. They're no longer there. They've even changed professions, not even in poker world. So it's finding who's gone where they're at now, and then calling them up and saying, okay, what's going on? You know, let's talk about, you know, the future. I don't think the senior poker tour is going to have a very big resurgence until 2022. And that's not the only tour that is struggling. There's, you know, other tours that are used to having those relationships, like Heartland Poker Tour is not coming back at all. And they even have their infrastructure in place with their own properties, you know, so there's just a lot of people who are in the shakedown. It's hard to see where it's going to go, but I'm just the most tenacious person in the world, and I don't take no very easily.
Right. And judging from these
So
big
laughing.
turnouts. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, we have a really good turnouts, you know, and everybody's going to be a senior at some point, hopefully.
Yeah, and
So we
judging
have-
from the
and
big
it's
turnouts
men and
everywhere.
women.
Everywhere is having big turnouts. Everyone that's starting the series, Florida, Vegas, wherever. So I think there's definitely going to be a real resurgence of live poker when it gets back going again and people feel safe to come out and play again. Right.
Well,
So,
I just spoke to New Hampshire this morning. Boston Encore is not reopening. And so they're lined, and they're a card room that can only be open, I think, from 11 in the morning till 2 in the next morning. And they have people who come and bring lawn chairs to get in line to be on the list. They'll have 200 people on a cash game waiting list at their room. It's so crazy because there's no poker to be played. So when there is someplace locally, people are just jamming and, you know, wanting to be there. We miss the game. It's a very phenomenal game, you know.
sorry, my daughter's just saying there's a scary raccoon outside.
A scary what?
Raccoon by our hot tub outside.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
First world problems.
Yeah.
It's like- anyway, so I'm going to open this up to anybody else that's here, Harold or Kelly or Elizabeth. Stuart, do you have any more questions for Lupe?
Just wondering what the inspiration was to start the seniors tour. Was it, so you didn't have all these young guns with the headphones and the sunglasses on playing with us?
Well, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a series called the Grand Series at the Golden Nugget. It's their summer series that happens every year. And I started that series with my friend, John Colville, who was at the time, the poker room manager. And then he got promoted to vice president of poker operations and all that. And him and I were friends. And so when we started doing this, I said, look, I want the ladies and I want the seniors. That's what I want. And we grew the seniors so fast. Ladies was, I mean, we still had great, ladies events, and we would have like one or two, but the seniors event was explosive. That's when I realized that this is something that we could actually take. If you looked at the numbers of the WSOP, and then the seniors event was, besides the main event, it was the second most popular.
That's
so
the reason.
that's
Yeah,
a
that's the reason I
no-brainer.
go. That's one of the reasons I go down for the WSOP. It's mainly for the seniors.
And if you're playing with people that are 50 and over, it's a different game.
It's fun.
It's old school poker. It's ABC poker in a lot of ways. And although a lot of us have had to learn the new ram and jam kind of poker player that's out there, but you kind of like enjoy the game when you go play a senior event. It's like being in a home game. You feel that warmth. It's really awesome. So that was really why, was because of the enjoyment I had. I'm old, it's like I was a senior. I just felt like it was my next progression. If I'm going to be in the industry, it would be fun to do that. And there's no drama with seniors like there is with other young people, and they're respectful, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to work in the senior poker.
Right.
One of my favorite events are playing the seniors events. I do enjoy it. Yeah.
And everybody looks forward to it. I'm going to be 50 next year. I get to play, so it's like your rite of passage, it's cool.
Anybody else?
It looks
have
like
any?
you've been back to South Point a couple of times. Are there properties you prefer to work with or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On a third party operator position, which is what I am, it is so nice to work with independent casinos because there's very little bureaucracy. When I work with the big, like, just to be able to pass out prizes at a Caesars event where we aren't getting paid, we're not doing it, we're just passing out prizes, it's an 18-page contract. It's a lot of red tape, and there's a lot of rules, and there's a lot of insurance, and there's all this stuff that's involved. But when you go to an independent casino, and that's why I loved like Golden Nugget, now I'm with the South Point down here, because it's me, the poker room manager, and the owner, the GM or the owner, right there. It's a very short ladder to get things done. And if the owner is supportive of poker, and fortunately the Golden Nugget owner is a poker player, and the South Point owner is a poker player, it makes all the difference in the world. They're just so easy to work with. So yes, the answer to that is I love independent operators. They're very, very easy. And operators, even if they're a bigger corporation, if they have had many years there, because they're very well established, they can go in and say, this is what I want to do in my room. And there's not a whole lot of kickback or feedback that's negative. They're more open to those people. So those are my two favorite kinds. Yeah.
That's good. Anyone else?
I just want to say, I don't have a question, but I just want to say that I really enjoyed this session. Like, Lupe, you are just a wealth of information. The time has flown by so quickly. I did prepare some questions, but you actually covered them. So just wanted to say thanks. It was really awesome to listen to you talk. Because for me, I've never had this opportunity before. So I'm very thankful that Kim has got you to come on here and speak to all of us. It's been quite enjoyable.
Yeah,
it's absolutely my pleasure. And one of the things I learned, I'm very close with Linda Johnson. Linda Johnson, First Lady Poker, the world knows who she is. she used to be very shy. She was the commentator on the World Poker Tour when it first started. The in-house commentator, Mike and Vince Van Patten were on the stage, like doing the television part, but she was the one in the house, and she was like really intimidated. And now she says, "Give me the mic. I'm a mic ho." I feel that way too. It's like I remember being terrified to do anything, and it's now, I honestly, everybody in the industry who has been in the industry for a length of time has so many wonderful stories to tell. And I hope at some point somebody makes an archive, a real archive of some of these phenomenal people, because I'm really new to the game in a lot of ways, even though it's 20 years down the road now. Well, I didn't even know who Linda Johnson was when I first started. I didn't know about, those people who were really groundbreaking for people to be able to enjoy the game the way it is. So I want the Hall of Fame isn't big enough. The Poker Hall of Fame isn't big enough. They are only picking 1 or 2 people out of thousands of phenomenal people. And we need a library, a real library of poker history that, a poker museum, new project. I don't know. Anyway.
Great idea.
I think that would be great. Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's been a pleasure being here, you guys. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome to have you here, and we won't take up any more of your time, but maybe we'll get you back one day, and I hope to see you in the fall. If people want to get in touch with you, where do they reach you? Twitter, Facebook, what, WPA?
To reach me personally, it's very, very easy. Email. It's lupe@lupesoto.com. or Poker Lupe on Twitter @PokerLupe. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Lupe. It was wonderful to talk to you. You've been a great guest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim.